I know a lot of people are going to say, and mainly Sixers fans, that Bulls fans shouldn't get too excited about this win because the Sixers were without Joel Embiid, who has historically owned the Chicago Bulls. But first of all, I'll get excited about any win from the Bulls. I don't really care what anyone says. But more importantly, the reason I get excited and encouraged and hopeful in a win like this is because it's not just this win. It's not just the previous win against the Brooklyn Nets. It's the fact that the Bulls have looked like a completely different team since that locker room blow up in Minnesota, with the exception of that bad loss against the Houston Rockets. Yes, they lost those back-to-back games against Cleveland, one in which they blew a big lead, but we also know the refs missed 2 critical calls in both of those games that would have resulted in wins for the Bulls. But this game, coming into Philly, knowing Embiid isn't going to be in, they started off slow in the first quarter and had a great second quarter to get right back into the game and then take the lead to then having arguably their best quarter of the season thus far in the third, when Zach Lavine went absolutely off from behind the arc, which I'll get to Zach and the incredible performance that he had tonight. In the third quarter, the Bulls outscored the Sixers 40-29, and even though Philly made some runs in the fourth, I believe they actually brought the game back within 7 points, the Bulls took care of business and finished off the game by countering with runs of their own off of big shots by Zach and Pat. Really, both of those guys were just absolutely great in the second half. You know, I'll start with Patrick Williams because Zach Lavine tonight was incredible, and I'll get to him, but seeing Patrick Williams having another great performance, following it up from his season-best game against the Nets, in which he and DeMar led the Bulls in scoring to snap the Nets' 12-game winning streak, comes out in the first half and came out looking flat. And you think to yourself, well, I guess the good game that Pat had was a bit of an isolated incident, and we're back to seeing passive Pat again, who can't hit wide open jumpers. Then he comes out to start the third quarter and scores the Bulls for 7 points, propelling them to that great quarter, which him and Zach scored the majority of the points in that one. Pat goes in to finish the game with 18 points on 7 for 11 shooting, 2 for 5 from 3, 6 rebounds and 2 assists, and a plus 20 on the night, which actually led the team in box plus minus. It's not even just the scoring, when he's showing so much more confidence in with his shot, but also improving his overall shot selection. It's also the fact that he's crashing the boards more, which the Bulls need given his limited size, and again, the defensive impact, usually being assigned to guard the opposing team's best offensive player, which you saw him on James Harden quite a lot tonight, which Harden did not have a good game on offense. Stepped up a bit in the fourth quarter by hitting some big shots, but it was a little too late. Harden went 4 for 17 from the floor and 3 for 9 from 3. What was also great about this game was seeing the Bulls use Vucevic to their advantage with Embiid being out. I tweeted right before the game, which by the way, you can follow me on Twitter at the link below in the description, but I tweeted that in this game, we're gonna need to see the Bulls feed Vucevic. It's his night to eat. And while I would have liked to see the Bulls go to Vuce a little more in the post, I also didn't care as much when I saw the guys lighting up the Sixers from 3. At that point, you don't really need to go to him so much in the paint, but even still, Vucevic finishes the game with a triple-double, the 5th of his career, I believe, 19 points, 18 rebounds, and 10 assists. He also had 2 blocks and was efficient from the floor, 8 for 14, working mostly inside, and was 2 for 3 from deep. That's the only thing I think people underestimate about Vucevic, because while yes, he's largely underachieved relative to the star player that the Bulls thought that they were trading for, he's still one of the highest IQ players on the court and an incredible passer for a big man. Do you know how rare it is to see a big man pull off the stat line Vucevic did tonight if your name isn't Nikola Jokic? So I get it why Bulls fans are a little frustrated by Vuce and claiming it was a horrible trade that the Bulls made for him, but when used correctly, Vucevic is such an effective player, and more recently, you're seeing him utilized the best for his strengths, and it's been great to see his overall usage go up while a guy like DeRozan has gone down. And that's not hating on DeMar DeRozan, because he's still the Bulls' best player. I love DeMar, but it was becoming abundantly clear that having DeMar controlling most of the Bulls' possessions with the ball in his hands the majority of the time, that it wasn't working. And it was limiting the strengths and development of other players. We needed to see other guys getting involved, needed to see high player movement and ball movement. And you saw exactly that tonight. The Bulls had 33 assists total as a team, one of the highest on the season for them. And DeMar was deferring to others, only took 13 shots compared to his 19 average. Only had 12 points, but was still impactful, snagging 5 boards and 6 assists along with a steal and a block. And then Zach Lavine. This is the type of game that can get Zach Lavine's confidence back on track and going again when it comes to his outside shot. Now, hopefully that doesn't mean Zach will just start being reckless with his shot selection, as we have seen him do from time to time. Like even tonight, a lot of the threes that he took probably weren't the best shots, but you can't be mad at it because he was feeling it. He wasn't missing, and it's what enabled the Bulls to pull away from the Sixers in the third quarter. Zach tonight, 11 threes. Obviously, Lavine had a career-high 13 threes in that crazy comeback game against the Hornets a few years back, but tonight, Lavine went 11 for 13 from three. Lavine became only the second player in NBA history to have recorded a game with 11 made threes on over 80% shooting from downtown. The other player, Steph Curry. Just Zach and Steph. That's it in NBA history. And you know, I'll tell you what, everyone talks about how we need to see Zach operate more as a catch-and-shoot type shooter, as he's one of the best catch-and-shoot shooters from three in the NBA. I think Stacey mentioned he's shooting over 44% from three on the catch-and-shoot as opposed to just ISO step-back threes you usually see Zach take. And it's something the Bulls have to start adjusting their offensive scheme to have Zach getting more shots up, playing off of the ball. Let guys like DeMar control the ball, get double-teamed, draw defenses away from Zach, and get it out to Zach for a quick shot or in the pick and pop. Zach is just so much more efficient on offense rather than handling the ball and creating his own shot. Unless he's driving to the basket, of course, he's actually one of the better finishers at the rim in the NBA. Using Zach in this manner going forward can do wonders for the Bulls in turning their season around. But anyway, Zach Lavine, 41 points tonight. Like I said, 11 for 13 from three. He started off 8 for 8, by the way. 14 for 19 from the field overall. 6 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Was plus 17 on the night for the Bulls. And again, him and Patrick Williams were the difference makers in the third quarter that enabled the Bulls to start pulling away. Coby White also had a great game coming off the bench. Well, a great fourth quarter. He was scoreless going into the fourth, but then hit some of those big threes for the Bulls in the fourth when the Sixers were starting to make a bit of a rally to give the Bulls some cushion. That's really what they needed from Coby. That's what we want him to do, being that scoring spark off of the bench when we need to get some buckets. But when you look at the team as a whole, which, mind you, the Bulls didn't have Caruso tonight, this is one of the most all-around, complete games they have had all season. Insanely efficient on offense. They had their highest three-pointers made as well as from a percentage standpoint on the season, 20 for 34 from three, 59%. They shot better from three than they did overall from the floor, even though they still shot 57% from the field. This compared to the Sixers, 43%. They out-rebounded the Sixers 45 to 38, which you would expect to be the case when they don't have Embiid. 33 assists to the Sixers 28. I mean, above all of the raw numbers too. The Bulls simply look much more connected, in sync, flowing well together on offense. They actually look like they enjoy playing together, which is not something I think we could have said earlier on in the year. The Bulls are right back at it, going up against former Bull and Lauri Markkanen as he makes his return to the United Center. Hopefully the back-to-back won't fatigue the Bulls too much, and coming off a performance like that will catapult them into a longer winning streak. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. As always, be sure to subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one.